In March 2025, archaeologists from the University of Pennsylvania were digging through 20 feet of sand at a site called the Mountain of Anubis in southern Egypt. They found a tomb, massive limestone walls cut into bedrock, a vaulted mud brick ceiling, hieroglyphic inscriptions invoking the goddesses Isis and Nephthys, the markers of a royal burial. The tomb belonged to a pharaoh, a king who ruled Egypt 3,600 years ago. Nobody knows his name. He ruled during a period of Egyptian history so chaotic, so poorly documented, so deliberately obscured by the dynasties that came after, that his entire kingdom was essentially erased. His dynasty doesn't appear in the standard lists of Egyptian rulers. His name wasn't recorded. His tomb was looted so thoroughly in antiquity that nothing identifying remains. He ruled Egypt, and history decided he didn't exist. 2 months later, November 2025, researchers scanning the third pyramid at Giza found 2 hidden air-filled voids behind its eastern face. Possible secret chambers. A possible second entrance that was never found. And right now, in 2026, Egypt's most famous Egyptologist is promising a discovery inside the Great Pyramid of Khufu that he says will rewrite history. A sealed corridor robots have already entered. A chamber that has never been opened. Egypt is not running out of secrets. It's running out of sand to hide them under. To understand why the Abydos tomb matters, you need to understand what Egypt looked like 3,600 years ago. By 1650 BC, the Egyptian state, one of the most organized and powerful civilizations in human history, had fractured. The north was controlled by the Hyksos, a foreign dynasty from the eastern Mediterranean who had swept in and taken the Nile Delta. The south was controlled by rival Theban kings based in the city we now call Luxor. Sandwiched between them, in the ancient sacred city of Abydos, the cult center of the god Osiris, was a third kingdom, a dynasty of pharaohs who ruled a narrow strip of territory along the Nile, caught between 2 more powerful forces, fighting for survival in what Egyptologists call the Second Intermediate Period. They are known as the Abydos dynasty, and they were almost completely erased. The Turin King List, an ancient Egyptian papyrus document listing every pharaoh in sequence, contains only one name from this dynasty, a king called Senebkai, whose tomb was found at Abydos in 2014. One name, out of what appears to have been an entire ruling family, spanning at least a century. When the Theban pharaoh Ahmose I finally unified Egypt around 1550 BC, expelling the Hyksos and founding the new kingdom, the dynasties he had defeated or absorbed simply stopped appearing in official records. The Abydos kings, the Hyksos, the rival factions, they were written out. Egypt's official history jumped from the Middle Kingdom to the New Kingdom, as if the chaos in between had never happened. The tomb found in March 2025 is almost certainly one of the founding kings of this erased dynasty. The tomb is larger than Senebkai's, which suggests seniority, possibly a founder. The inscriptions identify it as royal. The name is gone, either deliberately removed or lost to the tomb robbers who stripped it bare. Lead archaeologist Joe Wagner of Penn Museum described the period directly. Egypt was broken apart into multiple rival kingdoms. There was a lot of conflict and turmoil. He believes there are more tombs still buried. "We're pretty sure there's more of them," he said. An entire dynasty of Egyptian kings, deliberately excluded from the historical record by the victors who came after them. And their tombs are still emerging from the sand 3,600 years later. The erasure of the Abydos dynasty is not an accident of history. It was a deliberate act of political engineering. Ancient Egypt had a practice called damnatio memoriae, condemnation of memory. When a ruler or dynasty fell out of favor, their names were chiseled from temple walls, their images were defaced, their records were removed from official lists. In Egyptian religious belief, to erase a name was to erase the person's existence in the afterlife. It was the most complete destruction possible, not just killing the body, but annihilating the soul. The most famous example is Akhenaten, the pharaoh who abolished the traditional gods and replaced them with a single solar deity. After his death, his successor, and the priests he had marginalized, systematically removed his name from every monument in Egypt. For 3,000 years he was known only as, quote, the heretic king. His name was recovered only when archaeologists found fragments that hadn't been fully destroyed. The Abydos dynasty received the same treatment, but more thoroughly. They were the losers of a civil war. The winners rewrote the history. What's significant about the 2025 tomb is that it exists at all. The tomb was looted in antiquity, probably within a few generations of burial, which suggests someone knew it was there and knew it was valuable. But the king's identity was never preserved, never celebrated, never acknowledged in the official record that the new kingdom maintained. He was a pharaoh. He built a tomb fit for a king, and Egypt decided, officially, that he never existed. While archaeologists were excavating the Abydos tomb in early 2025, a separate team was scanning the third pyramid at Giza, the Pyramid of Menkaure, the smallest of the three main pyramids, built around 2510 BC. Using ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography, non-invasive scanning techniques that can map structures beneath stone without breaking anything, researchers from Technical University of Munich detected two anomalies directly behind the polished granite blocks of the pyramid's eastern face. Air-filled voids, hidden cavities behind the outer casing of the pyramid. The paper was published in a peer-reviewed journal in November 2025. The conclusion: the voids are consistent with the existence of a second entrance to the Menkaure pyramid, an entrance that has never been found. The currently known entrance to Menkaure is on the north face, the standard orientation for Old Kingdom pyramids. If the scans are correct, there is a second way in on the eastern face that has been sealed and hidden for 4,500 years. What's behind it is unknown. The interior layout of Menkaure is already complex. Multiple chambers, descending passages, an unusual burial chamber cut deep below the pyramid's base. A second entrance suggests either a construction phase that was later sealed, a storage area that was deliberately hidden, or something the builders did not want accessible through the main entrance. Nobody has opened it yet. The scanning data indicates the voids are real. The hypothesis of a second entrance is, per the research team's own words, supported by the evidence. 4,500 years. Hidden in plain sight on one of the most studied structures in human history. If a deliberately erased dynasty of pharaohs, hidden chambers inside the Giza pyramids, and a sealed room about to be opened for the first time keeps you in your seat, subscribe. Things that shouldn't exist goes this deep every single week. And then there is the Great Pyramid. In late 2024, scanning technology identified a previously unknown corridor inside the Pyramid of Khufu, 30 meters long, running through the interior of the structure in a direction that hadn't been mapped. Robots were sent in to explore and clean the passage. In early 2025, Egypt's most prominent and controversial Egyptologist, Dr. Zahi Hawass, former Minister of Antiquities, made a public announcement. He said that in 2026, Egypt would reveal a discovery inside the Great Pyramid that would, in his exact words, rewrite history. He described a sealed chamber at the end of the newly discovered corridor, a room that has never been opened, a room that has been sealed by design for approximately 4,500 years. Hawass stated two goals he intends to fulfill in 2026. The first is opening the sealed chamber inside Khufu's pyramid. The second is finding the tomb of Imhotep, the architect of the Step Pyramid at Saqqara, the man widely considered the first architect in recorded human history, whose burial site has never been located. What is inside the sealed chamber is unknown. Hawass has suggested it may be connected to Khufu's actual burial, because the chamber traditionally identified as Khufu's burial site, the king's chamber, contains only an empty granite sarcophagus with no lid, no inscriptions, and no mummy. Khufu's body has never been found. The most famous pharaoh of the ancient world, the man who built the only surviving wonder of the ancient world. His mummy does not exist, or has not been found. If the sealed chamber at the end of the newly discovered corridor is Khufu's actual burial room, undisturbed, sealed for 4,500 years, it would be the most significant archaeological discovery since Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922. Bigger, arguably. Tutankhamun was a minor pharaoh. Khufu built the Great Pyramid. Hawass says the announcement is coming in 2026. He has not said when. Put these three discoveries next to each other, and a pattern emerges that goes beyond individual finds. A dynasty of pharaohs who ruled Egypt for over a century, deliberately erased from the historical record by the dynasty that defeated them. Their tombs buried under 20 feet of sand, their names destroyed, their existence denied for 3,600 years. Still being found today. Hidden chambers inside the Pyramid of Menkaure, one of the most studied structures on Earth, discovered using technology that didn't exist a decade ago. A possible second entrance, sealed for 4,500 years. A sealed corridor inside the Great Pyramid, leading to a chamber no one has entered since the pyramid was built. An Egyptologist promising it will rewrite history. Egypt has been excavated, studied, and mapped more thoroughly than almost any civilization on Earth. It has been the subject of organized archaeological investigation for over 200 years. And it is still producing discoveries of this magnitude, in 2025, in 2026, that fundamentally change what we think we know. The Abydos tomb raises a specific question that goes beyond archaeology. If an entire ruling dynasty could be so thoroughly erased that only one of their names survived into the historical record, what else was erased? What other chapters of Egyptian history were rewritten by whoever won? The victors write history. They always have. Egypt just keeps giving us the evidence. A pharaoh who ruled Egypt 3,600 years ago, his name destroyed, his dynasty erased, his tomb looted bare. Still found, still there, 2 hidden chambers behind the face of the third Giza pyramid, sealed for 4,500 years. Not yet opened. A corridor inside the Great Pyramid, leading to a sealed room. Robots have been inside, humans haven't. An announcement coming in 2026 that Zahi Hawass says will rewrite history. Egypt is not finished surprising us. It has been hiding things in plain sight for 4,500 years, and we are only now building the tools to find them. Drop a comment. What do you think is in the sealed chamber? Khufu's actual burial? Something that changes the timeline of Egyptian history? Or something we don't have a framework for yet? Next week on Things That Shouldn't Exist, a radio telescope in Ohio picked up a 72-second signal from deep space in 1977. It matched every theoretical characteristic of an extraterrestrial transmission. It was never detected again. The wow signal. Subscribe. I'll see you there.